Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be having this flash interview. I'm going to be presenting you one of the most phenomenal people I've ever met in my life. So, this is how it goes. What is your name?
My name is Susanna Mittermaier.
And how long have you been doing Access Consciousness?
Oh, that's a great question. It feels like, a gazillion years, but in real
Mhm.
years, I'm not sure, but I think I started around 2010, and maybe it was 2009 at the end, but something like this.
Okay, so approximately 10, 12 years,
Something.
10 to 11 years. I love that we cannot do math. Amazing. So, what
Go
classes do you
consciousness.
exactly? Thank you for the knowing. So, how long have you been? What kind of classes are you facilitating?
Um, all kinds of very different classes. I love doing like different kinds of classes. In this reality, people go, oh, you have to have a niche. You have to only do one thing. That never worked for me. So I love doing very many different things and adding to my life again and again. So I do the bars,
Mhm.
foundation, right voice for you, wealth creators anonymous, being you, and um, like a couple of other specialty classes called pragmatic psychology, and also being the voice of wealth that creates a future that works for you. I think that's what and then of course facelift and body processes and all kinds of different things.
Just to name a few.
Yeah.
Like, how many specialties can you have? All of them? Why would I just choose one? Why would I only do one? I love it. Perfect. And what is psychology for you? Because I know that that's your major, right?
Yeah, that's my specialty that I create most with. It's
Mm-hmm.
so the different kind of psychology that the different kind of approach that I bring to the world is called pragmatic psychology, and
Mm-hmm.
pragmatic means doing what works. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the world being so dramatic and looking at the problem and why is the problem, looking at the cause. That's what I call the dramatic approach. That's what I've been taught also. And the pragmatic approach is where every problem is actually a possibility. You just got to change your perspective around it. And then you can use everything as a contribution, and everything is a resource. And so that's the one I create the most with.
Amazing. So what would, I mean, from your perspective, what would be the biggest difference that there is between the psychology that everyone knows and the one that you teach?
There's a lot of aspects to that. One of them I already mentioned about, not assuming that there's a problem. Like I remember when I was working as a psychologist, and I was working with psychotherapy in psychiatry, and I did very many different approaches. I studied psychodynamic, I studied CBT, the behavioral therapy, and very many different kinds, because I wanted to learn as much as possible about the different ways of creating change. And so what I was taught always was, you ask questions, but there's always a limit to the questions, because there's also a lot of assumptions. For example, if someone comes to you with a problem and they say, oh, I have I have a problem with relationship, I have a problem with my body, I have a problem with this and that, then it's so often that people assume, yes, because they say they have a problem, they have a problem, rather
Yeah.
than already starting questioning right away, what is that thing you call problem? And
Wow.
so many aspects come up just with that different perspective shift. You get so much more information and so much more awareness of what's actually going on, that you then in the next step can use to change the situation with the person you work with.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. Just don't go in buying people's information or story right off the bat and say like, hey, maybe there's something else that we haven't looked at. I love it. So what drove you to create this specialty?
Well, it was my work at psychiatry. I was working in child oncology before, and then
Mm-hmm.
later in psychiatry, both in the one, I'm not sure about the English word, where they come just once a week, and then there's the other version where, they stay for days and weeks, inward
Mm-hmm.
and outward, I think it's called in English. And so from that time, I saw how this world views people who are different.
Mm-hmm.
There's always the assumption that there's something wrong with the person that comes to those institutions. And I had a hard time seeing the problem. All I could see was a person who functions different, who sees the world differently, who just hasn't been acknowledged for it, and who doesn't have the tools to use their difference in an effective way. And that drove me to the question of, what else is available here? And I had this huge question in my world, and this knowing there must be something different available. And so short later, I really had this question huge screaming in my world. And you know how it is when you really, really desire something different, things show up in the weirdest ways. And so it was for me, I met this person. I was living in Sweden, and I met this person who says, there's someone coming from the States and they're doing a class. And I just knew I had to go there. And it was the first classes of Access Consciousness, where I got amazing tools that I first only used on me. I was my own guinea pig. And then it changed everything. And I'm like, wait a second. What if I use this on the people I work with? What would
Yeah.
that create? And that's how I started with this different approach in psychiatry. And I used the tools on the patients there, and this whole different perspective came up. Okay, I got created. And then I met Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, and we had conversations. And he said, Susanna, are you creating a new approach for psychology? And I'm like, me? And he's like, you might want to look at that. And then we had conversations, and then we both came up with the name Pragmatic Psychology, and voila, it was created.
And voila.
And
And how long was that ago? Do you remember?
I don't know. Because it started, like, the whole process started before Access, and then like how it slowly started, step by step. And I gotta say, when I started with this, I had no idea, like I had no specific clue on how that will show up. So
Mm-hmm.
I really just took it step by step. I'm like, okay, what's next? Finding a name. What's next? Making some notes of what I know about it. What's next? Those notes became a book. And I didn't plan on writing a book. I just made notes. So it really was this step, and is still this step by step. And that's what I love about creation. You don't have to have it figured out what it's going to look in 5-10 years. You just start now
Yeah.
with what's available, easy, and then you take it step by step.
Yay! I love it. So, I mean, you've already given us so much information, but if you can pick one that pops right now, what has this class, what has this specialty given you that nothing else has given you?
The acknowledgement of that what each and every one of us knows is such a gift to the world. It's like most people tend to look at other people and compare themselves with who they think is better than them in what they
Mm,
do, and then go, oh,
mhm.
I wish I was like this person. Oh, I can never be that amazing. I can never be that good facilitator. I can never be that successful, which is such a pity and so not
Yeah.
true. So what that speciality shows me, and the people who work with it and use it, is the treasure box that knowing is, and how much information it gives you, and how much creativity comes from that, and how much um how much not security, but this knowing you got it, you
Yeah.
can do it, and where all doubt ceases to exist, and you just go, like, for example, I had this pragmatic psychology class this weekend now in Germany, and there was a woman who she said, I was a coach for many years, and she did the class, and then she said, wow, now I really know I can do it, and I'm
Oh,
on like never before. And she just started to like make changes on her web page, add things to her services, and she's like, I'm ready for the world now. And that's what I'm so thrilled about.
wow, that gave me chills. And actually, of course, you already read my mind about what was the next question is why would people choose this class? Like, what do you get it's relevant for people to choose this class?
Yeah, it's like so many people like do modalities, and again, it's something they try to get right and become perfect in. And anytime you try to be perfect, it excludes you and the uniqueness of you. And if it's not about getting something right, or okay, I'm teaching this kind of thing and I have to do it this way, it's like, yeah, that's one way of doing it, like doing it like the textbook told you, but what is your unique way of doing it? And then finding the value in that, and the uniqueness, and like the value in the uniqueness, and using it. And that's what inspires the world and other people.
And that's actually also making things pragmatic, making things, choosing things that really work for you, including yourself in everything. I
Definitely.
adore it. So, what is your favorite tool to create ease in your world?
Right now, I mean, like I have different tools at different times that pop, that I use the most. And right
Yeah.
now, it's definitely interesting point of view. That's my favorite right now, and it's something that's so simple. Like every time there's some stuckness, heaviness, or any kind of point of view. Like right now, we have a teenager. She's 15, and we just met her, and it's like all these things came up today in our conversation about um, you know parenting, and how kids, like different kinds of points of view. And my partner and I, we're sitting there, and we ran, interesting point of view, we have this point of view, wow,
Mm.
interesting point of view, we have this point of view. And then we realized, wow, we don't even have a point of view. That's something that we bought from our parents, about
Mm.
the point of view you're supposed to have about the kid. That's not even yours.
Oh,
Like, okay, over
yeah.
and done. And the situation was changed, and we could just like be with her, and receive her for the difference and the gift she is, and be inspired.
And that is so different. That is a completely different way of being and engaging with the people around us. And actually, it takes us really full circle to where we started. That is, what if there was no problem?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm making this a problem. Okay, interesting point of view. I'm making this a problem. And then just go about it. Oh, thank you, Susanna. So, just one last thing. Can you give us a question to play with about being pragmatic or anything, actually? I leave it up to you.
Yeah. So, to truly be pragmatic, and again, it means doing what works. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's, gosh, you got to be willing to be different, because it's so normal to have a problem. And if you really go for ease and joy, which is pragmatic, you got to be different. And there might be people who judge you because they think, oh, you have it too easy, or you take it too lightly. Well, what if you take that as a compliment, and
Yeah.
and embracing ease actually is a good thing. So how different are you willing to be? Or you can ask yourself, wow, how different am I willing to be today?
Mm. Oh, yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Susanna. This was our flash interview for today. Um, we're going to be talking very soon again in many different things, but thank you for letting us know the brilliant difference that you are in the world. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you, Alva. Likewise.
Mwah.
Mwah.